Hello, welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveji, your host. Today's number is 800 million. Americans spend 800 million on personal development every year. That's an interesting fact. And I'd like to welcome you to our virtual podcast today again. And we have a great guest. Let's welcome our guest. All right, great. Lance, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Well, I had the pleasure of being at Four Seasons Produce. I liked it very much. So I'm glad that you accepted my invitation and join our podcast today. Well, how is
It's
your?
my pleasure.
Thank you very much. How is your week going so far?
It's going well. It's been busy, wrapping up a few analyses for the business, and I'm ready for the weekend.
Yes, it is coming up, so we are almost there. It's exciting. Well, as a start, would you please introduce yourself and your organization to our audience?
Sure. I'm Lance Mansell. I'm the continuous improvement manager for Four Seasons Produce. We're located in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, in Lancaster County.
Well, that's great. So, just for the record, to our audience, so I think it was a couple months ago. Time really flies. So, a couple of months ago, I had a chance to be there. I had a chance to watch Lance's presentation, which was really, really educational. Also, I had a chance to really have a nice tour at Four Seasons Produce in Pennsylvania. It's one of the great operations and organizations that I have seen, and also the excitement of employees working for Four Seasons Produce was also noticeable. I also noticed that positivity and excitement among employees. That was also pretty inspiring for me. So that's a great organization. Well, great. Would you please tell us about your career path a little bit? How did you get started?
Sure. It's been a very interesting journey for me. Um, I've been curious my whole life, but I actually finished high school, 10th grade, my highest completed grade, and life was difficult at the time, but I was fortunate to join the military. So I joined the U.S. Army when I was 17. I completed my service when I was 20,
Thank you for your service.
and um, I, the older I get, the more I realize how much I received positively from the military. Even if at the time it wasn't always fun, but very thankful to have had that opportunity. And when I came out of the military, so at 20, starting my career journey, I didn't have any civilian skills, and I was just happy to work. Picked up a job as a laborer unloading steel off of trucks, and one of the patterns in my experience has just been to be really curious about everything around me, and it was interesting to thank but seeing other positions around me where others were making higher wages and doing things that looked more creative and fun, and I was able to make friends with welder fabricators and receive permission from the foreman to like during two 15-minute breaks and a half hour after work, learn how to weld on the job, and then receive formal welding training later. But from welding and then as a welder fabricator, being around draftsmen, and they were like drawing things in full scale inside the computer was fascinating. So I eventually on AutoCAD and became a draftsman. And again, still being curious about design work, transitioned to Grey Coat children's products back in the 90s. Uh, then again, curious about everything around, able to move into manufacturing engineering, and that's where I was initially exposed to the beginnings of lean manufacturing. Certainly, when lean was coming into the United States, or as the United States was trying to embrace a lot of the learnings from Toyota in the earlier 90s. And spent a lot of time in manufacturing engineering around CNC machining, polishing, forging, and then decided to make another career change. I went into law enforcement for 4 years, which was a fascinating detour. I learned a lot about myself and the world. And then I was able to come back into industry and continue my journey in engineering, did engineering management for a little while. But all along the way, continuous improvement has been, whether I knew that I was doing it or not, I was always curious to understand how a process works, always fast to see another team things, curious, like, tell me, like, what's that though? I don't know why, but process improvement or continuous improvement is kind of inside of my DNA. So I didn't really choose it so much as I discovered it, during this journey of throughout my career, which I'm blessed for the diversity of my career.
Can you tell us about your work a little bit? What are the challenges and exciting parts of your work?
Sure. I'm really excited about where I'm at today. The um, it's similar like when Toyota says that, Toyota develops people that build cars, or Toyota builds people that builds cars. And I really like that idea of developing the person, and then they, improve a process. So at this point, I'm not trying to be the person at Four Seasons that makes all the changes, rather than being the person that's encouraging us to be, curious about continuous improvement, to seek change and to embrace methods of change that are more or less, hopefully more effective. When we do change work, it's not always done well. So really trying to help coach people and train on methods that, at least in my experience, work better at change. So in my current role, it's really about developing others that do continuous improvement, and that's exciting to kind of give away the skill set rather than being the one using it. And we'll talk, I'm sure, more throughout this conversation about relationship, but building a relationship with others when we change can be very threatening. So never wanting to go into someone's area and to be perceived as an auditor, somebody that's going to like find where the inefficiencies are and write some report or analysis, rather than taking the skills into someone's area to be helpful. And we can apply skills and data and et cetera, and really try to help people change what they want to change, rather than being an auditor or someone coming in with force and trying to tell someone where they should change. But developing others, and then, so we do training. We have white belt training and yellow belt training, where we have Lean and Six Sigma methodology shared. And then after training, always being available as a coach. And on some projects, I'm actually designated as the facilitator.
Well, as someone who's been to Four Seasons, obviously your operations are growing, the organization is growing in general. So, how are you guys managing it at Four Seasons? What is your secret sauce?
So Four Seasons is excellent at being customer facing. We are very responsive to the customer. It's a family owned business that has, I believe, over 900 associates now. The company has doubled and doubled and doubled again, within one generation. It's now been passed to the second generation. And with tremendous growth, that's hard because your processes are constantly changing. And the process that was great yesterday now struggles or is strained today. And I always try to say thank you to the process that we have that brought us here. But then, hey, what do we need, better today? So I think the challenge of growth is always having, like a finger on the pulse of the process. Is the process still strong um, for your current situation? And which processes need to be expanded or changed to keep growing? So the challenge is growth, and then how do you keep growing and maintain efficiency, or even better, improve efficiency?
Sounds like you have a good problem.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, that's good. So you just mentioned about relationships as well as building relations and continuous improvement. I like to know your viewpoint. In your view, what type of challenges professionals are having while they are trying to further their career?
It's a great question. I've been studying work throughout my whole career. Again, just being curious, and then also studying myself. I think being self-aware can be challenging. Sometimes it can be painful, but it's ultimately very rewarding. And I think most of us try to focus on technical expertise or technical competency. And I think we go to school to receive technical competency, and that's excellent. And we need to be good at what we do. But earlier in my career, I didn't understand the importance of relationship. And as much as I was trying to learn as much as I could, be as competent as I could, always trying to come up with like good solutions and then arguing for those solutions. And, it's when I look back, like that was like there's a good side of that, but the bad side of missing the relationships is I was over arguing for my solutions or my ideas. And as I did that, I was damaging the relationship around us. And I didn't understand that acceptance to change is actually more important than the change itself. So we can have a great idea and do a great project and install a great improvement, and we can do the after implementation. Um, we'll collect the data and we'll show that we're saving X amount of money or we've expanded capacity, et cetera. But then you go back 3 months or 6 months later, and that change that we saw isn't there. And sometimes the reason why it's not there is that the way that we did the change or the way that we forced the change, it wasn't the change that the situation or people really wanted. And there's some, hard lessons in my background, looking at a lot of hard work that didn't sustain. And now I want sustainable change. So I'd rather have a smaller improvement that's accepted that remains than doing harder work. And again, we have to build acceptance through the change process, and acceptance comes through trust, and trust comes through relationship. So I think in the presentation that you saw, there was a slide that showed Q times A equals E, and that's the quality of the change or the technical merit of the change times the acceptance of the change, which is what really equals the effectiveness. Sometimes I say it's IQ times EQ, which equals winning together. Sorry for taking such a roundabout answer there. Um, Continue to grow your technical skill, but don't undervalue relationship. And we have to be working on our IQ and then also working on our EQ or emotional skills at the same time. And the last thing I'll say, at least at this point, about the emotional skills is being willing to look inside. And there were some defects inside of me where I was looking for external validation and I was trying to control situations. And that was getting in the way of winning together. So now, I'm much more flexible about, if my ideas are helpful, great. If the team pursues some other ideas, that's even better. So becoming flexible to help the team win together. But sometimes we have to do some work inside to see if there's something going on inside of us that's getting in the way.
I like to shift our conversation towards AI. What do you think about AI? Obviously, it's changing businesses in general, but where it is going, and in the future, do you think AI will replace jobs?
So AI is huge. Um, I think this is going to be the second huge transformation in my lifetime. I was around when the PCs, first hit the market. At least I was exposed to PCs in the 80s and then in the 90s. And Of course, then you have the internet later, and now we have AI. I think AI is going to be much, much bigger. I don't think we understand um, what all it's going to encompass yet. So um, I'm excited about it. I think there's lots of excitement and there's a lot of fear in the system right now because we don't know where it's going to go, and the speed of the change um, is interesting because if the change is happening faster than we can understand it, then there's fear, and then again that can interfere with relationships. So, is it going to take away jobs? I'm sure it will. But is it going to create jobs? I'm sure it will. What's the net balance? I don't know. Um, but as I've been exploring AI for the last 2 years, so I've been a ChatGPT subscriber, more recently Claude AI and Perplexity. Also looking at Julius AI for data analysis. There are some amazing things that it can already do. You can already see the future of more amazing things that are coming. But I also would just raise a little bit of a cautionary flag. Hallucinations, the hallucinations are real. The AI can certainly be wrong, at least today, as we're in the infancy of AI. So I think it's really important that the user on this side of the prompt uh, needs to be have their eyes open, needs to have their brains turned on, applying critical thinking. And I think I don't know, certainly not today, that AI is going to replace analyst or critical thinker. But when the critical thinker collaborates with AI, that's when we get the more powerful results. So I think if the user just thinks, oh, I'm just going to prompt AI for the answer and not think, well, I don't know how valuable that skill set will be because anyone could just enter the prompt. Um, but having a user that's a critical thinker that's collaborating with the AI and then together, um, I think that's a more powerful combination.
Lance, you have decades of professional experience, and briefly you mentioned earlier you have actually experience in different industries and um, different skill sets that you have. In your career journey, have you had any role models? Are there any role models that you can share with us today in the podcast?
Yes, there's several. So many people throughout my career have given to me so much of their knowledge. So I'm very thankful um, that everyone has given me knowledge. So thank you. And I try to model that as I do the same thing with others. I don't ever view concealing knowledge as an advantage. But if we can give that knowledge away, so I'm thankful for everyone that's done that for me. I think both of my grandfathers are also clear role models. They were part of the greatest generation, and they weren't the same. My grandfather on my mom's side, he was just a hard worker. Like he worked for GM at their, you know, is doing assembly work or body work. Also created an auto body business where he was buying crashed cars and then repairing them or taking two cars and making one car out of them. At the same time, he was building a house. I think the original house, $300 or $600, and it was just like imagine like a shed, no insulation, just the roof and the siding. But his drive um, to work, be creating a business, to be building his house and family, and um, is just phenomenal. And seeing how much he's able to accomplish over his lifetime, he didn't do it in a day, but he was steady and worked. And my other grandfather, he was a machinist, and so he was in the blue collar trades. What he I was blessed that he lived to be 95, so he died when I was in my mid to later 30s, and we were able to become friends. You don't choose your family, you choose your friends, and sometimes your family becomes your friend. And What I learned the most from him is we were able to talk about anything, all the hard conversations. We could talk about politics. We could talk about the pluses or minuses of unionization. We could talk about religion, and people in the room would be uncomfortable. Like, like this is why you shouldn't talk about any of these topics, and they'd leave the room. And I'd look at my grandfather and say, like, Grandpa, are you upset? No. He'd ask me, am I upset? No. We're just having a conversation, often on opposite sides of a topic. And what I learned is that no topic is as simple as one polar view vantage point. And as much as we want life to be simple, it's not simple. And we have to be courageous to look at multiple viewpoints to get a better understanding and then to work together as a team. So very thankful to my grandfather that he was able to have that conversation with me on opposite sides of something, never telling me this or that, but challenging and like, yeah, the viewpoint that I wanted to have, it's more complicated than that. So, and then at the end of his life, I was blessed again to ask my grandfather, Grandpa, how should I live? And he said, be good. So it's just two words, I think it's like 6 or 7 letters. And he didn't tell me what that means. So I think the challenge in every situation that we're in, what's it mean to be good in this situation is a good challenge. And, I think that echoes back to the golden rule. So,
Yeah, appreciate it. How about some lessons learned that you like to share with us in your career journey, I will say?
um, I think the positive lessons, be curious, be courageous. Um, when that we can be, it's an opportunity for you to do something. Like I remember the first time, like when I learned how to weld, you know, 2 15-minute breaks, a half hour after work. I think I did that for 2 weeks. So that's 1 hour a day. That's maybe 14 hours of combined welding training. And I was transferred to third shift as a laborer, and they didn't have enough welders. And they said, does anyone here know how to weld? And I immediately raised my hand, like, I do. Uh, in my mind, there's nothing to lose because I'm already a laborer and I don't have a lot of welding experience, but I'm willing. And they gave me a test, and I'm gonna show them what I can do. And if it's not good enough, I'm still a laborer. Like there is zero risk to raising your hand and saying, yes, I can do it. And I was fortunate that it was good enough. And then what happened is I had week after week of welding for 40 or 50 or 60 hours, really building a deep experience set. And then I went to formal welding training later. But this, be courageous. Like I think sometimes we talk ourselves out of going for it um, because it could say no, but what's the risk? So that's to the positive. I think that you know the, I think the other huge thing, and the military was good at this, and law enforcement was also good at this. In the military, there's a saying that all plans fail at contact with the enemy. Like you plan, but it never really unfolds. But you carry on with the mission, and after the mission's over, the after action review, like what was supposed to happen, what actually happened, what went well, what didn't go well, what can we learn from both of those things, and then how do we? It's like what's the knowledge like, and this is all about seeking knowledge. Like, okay, so what did we learn? How do we apply that to tomorrow? So tomorrow or the next engagement is better. Law enforcement, the same thing. Many things were not controllable, and we were trained to, after you handle a call, when you're having your cup of coffee, but think about what happened. Think about like what went well, what could have gone sideways, and what's the lesson there. So always be studying things. Failures are not failures if you learn from them. Failures are great education. So that's the other great positive. Just always don't be afraid of failure and be learning from them, and do the hard work inside. So I think the negative is I didn't do some hard work earlier in my career. So I encourage others now to do it sooner.
How about your interests outside of work? Do you have what are your biggest passions outside of work?
So I'm blessed to be able to spend time with my fiance, Jamie. She's a special education preschool teacher. It's fascinating. Her work is fascinating, and the help that she's giving others. Thankful that we enjoy a lot of things together. So motorcycling is something that we're have enjoyed. Traveling, photography, and building a small wood shop. My background's not woodwork; it's the metals fabrication, but trying to transfer that knowledge into the wood shop. And then also just it's interesting with AI or any type of automation. Um, for productivity, automation is good, but it's also fascinating using like some of the old hand tools that come from decades or hundreds or even thousands of years, and they're just a little bit more intimate between the worker and the work piece. So very rewarding.
Absolutely, that's really exciting. Well, it's almost 30 minutes actually. The really time passed really quick. I appreciate this conversation. Um, I like to also learn about your advice for next generation. As you know, our actual full podcast name is the American Business Podcast for the Next Generation, right? So we actually like to share insights with the next generation as well as today's generation. Speaking of next generation, the coming workforce, right? Do you have any career advice for them?
Sure. I mean, I can only give advice that's been successful for me. Um, be curious. Like, um, it's amazing how much it's blessed me just, having your eyes open, look at the things that are going on around you, try to understand how things work, whether that's, physically or relationally. Um, be courageous. I'm blessed again to have been in the military and pushed into some situations of like becoming a leader, but some of that I was pushed into being a leader early, and I don't know that I knew that I was a leader without that push. So sometimes there's things about you when you're younger that you don't know about yourself yet. So being willing to fail, like be willing to try something, and again, if you can fail with the right mindset, that's knowledge. So go for it. And so that teams win. Like the less we try to compete with those around us, and the more that we try to be helpful on a winning team. When we all win, when the team wins, we all win. So um,
Yes.
don't worry about competing one on one as much as just try to be helpful.
Well, thank you for these insights. So, for those who likes to continue this conversation, is there any contact information that you like to share?
You can find me on LinkedIn. There's not too many Lance Mansells in the world. I'm not the only one, but if you look for Lance Mansell at Four Seasons Produce, please, if there's anything helpful today that you'd like to discuss farther, uh, you can reach out to me there.
Well, Lance, thank you so much for being with us in your busy schedule, and we truly appreciate the insights that we learned from you today. And thank you so much again, and I wish you a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on your
Of
show.
course, it was a pleasure. Thank you,
Look
Lance.
forward to seeing you again.
Anytime. Thank you. Thank you. Bye now. Well, to our audience and to our listeners, it was another great conversation with Lance Mansell today. That actually a continuous improvement manager from Four Seasons Produce is a great organization. As I mentioned earlier, I had the pleasure of being there and seeing the operations in place. So that was actually pretty cool. And I'm glad that Lance had a chance to join us. So we also get the insights. So curiosity is the key. That's what I learned from our conversation today. And keeping an open mind is also very important for continuous improvement in our careers as well as in our companies and organizations. So that was a great conversation. So as you may know, we just passed 30,000 YouTube subscribers on YouTube. So we are very excited, and I thank you for your support. Truly appreciate it. If you haven't done so, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to American Business Podcast YouTube channel. We truly appreciate your support. We continuously, weekly, actually broadcast and stream online and share informational and educational content in our podcast. So we truly appreciate your support, and please subscribe if you haven't done so. Do you have an idea? Would you like to share any feedback with us? Would you like to be a guest? Do you know someone who can be a guest in our podcast? Please send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. Also, we welcome any sponsorship and advertising opportunities as well. For that also you can send us an email. You can also visit our website, americanpodcast.tv, to see the latest and especially our schedule for the podcast. You can see what is coming, who will be our guests, what we will be talking about. You can see it on our website, americanpodcast.tv. Speaking of sponsors earlier and advertisers, we have a new sponsor, IPVanish VPN. That's something that I used earlier and I enjoyed, so I recommend it. IPVanish VPN. You can visit their website, as I'm sharing the link on the website on the screen. You can click. You can visit their website and also see if you like it. If you are looking for a VPN, that's a pretty good candidate that you can trust and you can use as a VPN tool. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm looking forward to having you at our coming episodes. Thank you very much and have a good weekend.